really excited for our next conversation because we get to talk about the momentum to transform our food and agriculture systems at the federal level. In 2022, the White House held a historic conference on hunger, nutrition, and health and released its national strategy to end hunger, reduce diet-related diseases, and improve public health by 2030. And thankfully, to the work of different federal agencies, the private sector, nonprofits, philanthropy, and others, we are seeing amazing progress toward the Biden-Harris administration's goals on these issues. It's been incredibly inspiring, and I've had the honor of talking to folks who are truly serving the public as part of the administration. And that's why I'm so excited to welcome Will McIntee, the Director of Strategic Engagement at the White House. Give him a round of applause, please. Will's an Iowa boy, so he feels right at home here. Nice to see you, Will. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Danny. It's good to be back home, and always great to do an event with Food Tank, and even better to do an event with Niman Ranch as well.
Thank you so much. So I want to talk about the progress you've seen around the administration's goals on these really important issues around nutrition, health, diet-related diseases, all of these things that really affect so many people around the country and haven't had the attention until the White House had this conference, haven't had the attention that they needed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, Danny, I'm in the White House Office of Public Engagement. I work as Director of Strategic Engagement, and as part of my portfolio, I lead our rural and agriculture and nutrition engagement. And it's been an incredible time to do that because during the span of the past few years, President Biden, Vice President Harris hosted the first White House conference on hunger, nutrition, health in over 50 years, dating back to the Nixon administration. So this was an opportunity to bring folks really from across civil society together to look at ways in which we can work to tackle the issues of hunger, issues of diet-related disease, and to improve our both physical activity and improve our healthy eating as well. And I'll never forget the date of the conference because it was just a couple weeks after my wife and I got married in Dubuque, Iowa. And so it was very chaotic time.
Nice honeymoon, Will.
Yeah, it was, our honeymoon was basically the conference, which was great. But it was, just an incredible opportunity. At that time, in September of 2022, we had really been working on these issues since the beginning of the administration, partially, due in part to the fact that there were so many advocates, community leaders who had been calling for another conference on hunger, nutrition, health, because again, it had been 50 years.
Right.
And we saw so many of these issues really exacerbated through the pandemic. We saw issues in our farm and food supply chain. We saw issues of people experiencing hunger and food insecurity on the rise. Child poverty on the rise.
Right.
And so as the president and vice president entered office, these issues were really front and center, and so it was really both an ideal opportunity to bring folks together, and really critical at that time. And so early on, we hosted literally hundreds of listening sessions across different sectors. Part of that was connecting with agribusiness, agriculture, farmers and ranchers, folks that work in this every day and work to provide healthy, nutritious food every day for a living. We met with state and local governments to identify opportunities to kind of streamline some of the federal programs that we utilize to provide support to folks that face food insecurity, and to identify some best practices. We know that a lot of times some of the solutions are really come from the ground up. They come from folks in the food industry. They come from farmers and ranchers. They come from state and local governments. They come from the private sector. From academia, from so many different sectors. And so it's important for us to really kind of touch all those sectors, to listen, to learn, And then through that process, you mentioned, we announced at that conference of September of 2022 a national strategy on hunger, nutrition, and health that was really kind of the outline for the federal tools and resources that the administration I believe we could utilize to help achieve the president's stated goal, which was ending hunger and reducing diet-related disease by 2030, while reducing disparities that exist across our communities. And so that was the kind of the federal tools and resources that could be utilized, but it was also important to the president and the vice president that we really approach this as a whole of society approach. So understanding that the federal government alone is not going to be able to solve this complex issue of hunger, and we're not going to be able to solve for healthy eating and improving physical activity alone. We're going to need, again, all those sectors of civil society to help us do that.
Absolutely. And I know the federal government can't do it alone, but it is impressive that there was a whole of government approach that involves so many different government agencies. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that was unprecedented in so many ways.
Yeah, so when we looked at developing the national strategy on hunger, nutrition, health, it was important to us that we, obviously the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Department of Health and Human Services have so many tools to address hunger and to help support local and regional food systems. And of course, they contributed heavily to the national strategy on hunger, nutrition, health. But it was important to us that we really look at every agency, every department, and the tools and resources they have to be able to help achieve this goal. And so just for instance, a few areas where we stated in the national strategy, just from some kind of unlikely sources.
Right.
First of all, the Veterans Affairs Department and then the Department of Defense, of course, operate facilities across the country and DoD across the world. And so they're huge. They have huge procurement power when it comes in purchasing power when it comes to the food that they supply. And so, part of the national strategy pointed to opportunities for them to utilize regional and local food systems,
right,
to be able to kind of power the communities and provide new markets for farmers and ranchers in their area. The Department of Transportation looked at opportunities that they could utilize to provide transportation for folks that lack transportation, right, to get to grocery stores, farmers markets, and other opportunities to be able to get food and bring it home. And we also, the Department of Labor has worked with USDA to have kind of better integration between the SNAP program and some of the workforce programs that the Department of Labor utilizes, so that folks that are utilizing those workforce programs are more easily able to register for those SNAP benefits while they're training and right, developing new skills to re-enter the workforce. So we really those are just a few examples, but we really looked at how could every piece of the federal government contribute to these goals, and we've seen really incredible progress since then.
Absolutely, and there's no question that partnership and collaboration has been a huge part of the national strategy. I'm wondering if you can talk about how you specifically are working to help farmers and ranchers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, the national strategy included a lot of opportunities and really looked at how we could better develop local and regional food systems. President Biden and Vice President Harris, really acknowledge and know how critical the agriculture is to the rural economy. And we've seen, and I'll try my best Secretary Bill Sack impression.
Sure,
which is a
please.
Tough thing to do here in Iowa. But I know after this we'll hear from Teresa Greenfield, who's our USDA Rural Development State Director, who can kind of expand on this as well, and is a terrific leader here in Iowa. But again, the president knows how critical agriculture is to our rural economies, and we've seen over decades this kind of emphasis on efficiency, which again has helped to provide a safe food supply, but has not necessarily provided a lot of opportunities for a lot of farmers. We've seen a lot of farms. We've lost a lot of farms over the
especially
past
in Iowa.
several decades, and so the president, Secretary Vilsack, have been hard at work to provide opportunities for small and mid-sized farmers, because they know that when we do that, that keeps the wealth that's created in our rural communities here at home, and provides more opportunities for folks in the food sector. We need more people involved in the food sector. We need more people farming. And so we've really focused in a few ways on how we can do that. One critical way that we've done that is through our investments in climate smart agriculture. And there's historic investments through the Inflation Reduction Act to invest in some of those climate smart practices that enable that provide farmers and ranchers and the tools to utilize some of those climate smart practices, but also to tap into new and expanding markets, especially the ecosystem service markets that can provide some additional income. Another area where we've really focused again is in local and regional food systems, and how can we establish those kind of farm to school, farm to restaurant, farm to grocery store, farm to hospital markets. And so a few ways in which we've done that. One area is USDA has established the regional food business centers. So there's 12 across the country that provide technical assistance to producers to help establish those types of new markets. Through the American Rescue Plan, we invested in an organic transition initiative, understanding that a huge barrier for producers that would like to get into organic production is the upfront costs of making that transition, and so provided some funding to help with that process. We've funded and invested independent meat and poultry processors to create some additional competition in those markets and ensure that farmers are paid more fairly. We know that not every farmer is fortunate enough to produce for Niman Ranch, and we want to ensure that every farmer and rancher has access to fair markets in their communities, and again keep that wealth that's created in the local economy. To address input costs, which we know continue to be far too high, we have invested in domestic fertilizer production, especially now as we see some of the issues that have been created due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which has really impacted the fertilizer supply chain, ensuring that we're developing producing more fertilizer here domestically, and then going back to the procurement piece, USDA of course has done a lot of work to support local and regional food systems through their investments in local and regional food supply chains. But again, we've also through the national strategy have worked with departments like the VA, like DOD, like SBA, the Small Business Administration, to support those markets as well. So those are just a few areas that we've really been focused on in the agriculture sector to ensure that we're supporting small and mid-sized producers and not just larger agricultural operations.
Right.
We want everyone to be successful. We want those large agricultural
Sure.
operations to be successful, but we want to make sure that family farmers and ranchers are successful as well.
Absolutely, and that collaboration, that partnership across federal agencies, across sectors is so important for keeping wealth in rural communities. And that's also really central to making sure that food insecurity is not a problem in rural communities. Can you talk about the administration's sort of efforts to reduce food insecurity, not just in rural areas, but all over the country?
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, I mentioned since the conference in September of 2022, we've been focused on implementing that national strategy on hunger, nutrition, and health. Just to name a few areas where we've been successful in implementing some of those pieces from the national strategy. One of the really critical accomplishments in the past couple of years during the 2022 omnibus bill, the administration was able to secure, through bipartisan support of both Senator Bozeman and Senator Stabenow, who serve as chair and ranking member of the Senate Agriculture Committee, a new summer electronic benefits transfer program for children. So this is a program that USDA calls this program Sunbucks, and so this is funding that provides eligible families, especially children that typically would receive free school meals during the school months, $40 per month per child to be able to afford groceries during the summer months when they're not getting those meals at school. So this is a really important tool, especially for families during the summer months. And again, this is funding that provides those families. It's similar to SNAP benefits, where those families can utilize this $40 per month per child in grocery stores, at farmers markets, purchasing directly from farmers.
Yeah.
And so both helps spur some economic activity in the state, and then supports those families during the summer months. And so we were excited this year to implement this program for the first time. We've seen just tremendous results in the states and tribal nations, territories that have taken on this benefit. We saw it was 37 states, I believe 3 tribal nations, and all U.S. territories that have utilized the program this summer. USDA continues to work with states like Iowa that have not expanded or utilized this funding, and we hope to see additional states utilize this funding in 2025. And again, we've just been thrilled to see the bipartisan support for this program, both Democratic, Republican governors who have utilized this funding in their states. Just to name a couple other areas as well, USDA also expanded community eligibility for over 3,000 school districts to allow additional families to be eligible for free school meals for their children. Again, just providing some additional breathing room for families. The FDA, kind of speaking towards the nutrition side, they have proposed a rule on front of pack labeling to ensure that families have better access to nutrition information and what's in their food, and can have access to healthier options in the grocery store. HHS has also implemented Medicaid Section 1115 demonstration opportunities. So these are initiatives that have started at the state level to provide medically tailored meals, food as medicine interventions. So in many cases, actually, through the support of local agriculture, providing local produce to folks that may suffer from diabetes or some other diet-related disease, and providing healthier food options for them through their Medicaid and Medicare coverage in that state.
Yeah.
So it's been exciting to see the progress that's been made. I could tick through probably another like 10 minutes of,
Sure.
of areas that we've made some progress here, and happy to share maybe the fact sheet that we put together
Please,
more
yeah.
recently if anybody is interested in learning more about some of the progress we've made on the national strategy.
It is so inspiring what's happened just over like the last 3.5 years, and I want to thank you for that work, Will. I wonder, what sort of call to action do you have to the stakeholders in this room? Farmers, nonprofit organizations, philanthropy, businesses. What's your call to action as we work to end hunger in this country by 2030?
Yeah, well, I guess two things I'd mention. One is, I'd mentioned we listened and learned ahead of the developing the national strategy. We're still here listening and learning as these issues continue to develop and as we continue to implement the national strategy. So we always love to hear, and through this position have had the opportunity to really hear some really creative ideas and solutions, and it's always helpful to get those. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us or to any of the federal agencies with those ideas. Another thing I'll mention, mentioned briefly that through the White House conference, President Biden, Vice President Harris also put out a call to action that we call the White House Challenge to End Hunger and Build Healthy Communities. So this was kind of a call to action for private sector, state and local governments, agriculture, kind of all sectors of civil society. And through that initiative, we, both ahead of the conference and through the White House Challenge, we secured over 200 commitments that were in line with the president's goal of ending hunger and reducing diet-related disease by 2030, totaling over about $9.7 billion in financial
It's amazing,
value.
yeah.
And again, just a credit to those organizations and to the CDC Foundation. I know Judy Monroe is here, who will be on the next panel as well, who's been really our partner in that. And the thing I'll mention there is we need even more of that. I know the CDC Foundation continues to work with kind of exciting partners and to hear exciting solutions. And they continue to work with all the organizations that have made commitments so that they can learn from each other. And we want to continue to kind of foster that environment. And so if there's ideas that you have at the local level, a lot of times that's where the best ideas that we've seen have come from, or just at the community level or at the farm level, and we want to hear from you, and we want to connect with you and learn more from you. And so please continue to feed us that information. Please continue to feed us those ideas, and please know that you have a partner here in the Biden-Harris administration in the work that you're doing in your communities, and we look forward to continuing that partnership.
Thank you so much, Will. Please give him a round of applause. Great to have you. I just want to say a little bit more about what Will was talking about. This has truly been a whole of government approach, but also there has been so much bipartisan support for these efforts to reduce hunger and diet-related diseases. And it's so impressive to see that happening during these really volatile political times that the Biden-Harris administration has been able to involve, obviously Democrats, but Republicans, Libertarians, and everyone in between. And it's been amazing to watch this unfold over the last few years. So I want to give Will another round of applause for all of that great work. He's a true public servant. And I, again, very grateful that he could make it here during a busy time. So